Hello, hello. Going live today. Get the lights up here a little bit. Eh, Trust issues. Not actually trust issues, but the idea that how do you build trust in a relationship? And this was actually a request from a post someone made. So let me see if I can send that. I don't know if it's it's too many characters. Um, So this individual says one topic that doesn't seem to be getting much coverage on is the issue of trust and the nuts and bolts of how trust is established. So let's think about that for a moment. How is trust established? Hello, Crystal. I usually talk about the topic for a little bit and then I'll get into answering questions. But first question would be, how is trust established? Think about that for a moment. How is trust established in the relationship, right? So I'll put that up. The nuts and bolts. I believe that when you first start dating, going out with someone, that there really isn't a whole lot of trust. There's some uncertainty. It's a discovery mission. It's something that you can't create. It actually happens over time. Excuse me. And if you really think about it, we all have close friends or good friends. And then you have those friends that you've known for 25 years, right? And maybe they're from your hometown, maybe they're from your high school, maybe from grade school, and you have a deeper connection with those people. Those are kind of people that you haven't seen in, you know, 10 years. You meet up, you have lunch, you talk for 2 hours, and it's just like you picked up where you left off. And what is that? That's trust. Where does trust come from? Time. Think about that for a minute. Over a period of time, people tell you who they are by their actions, by who they are and what they do. And the more and more that you are around them, you will build trust on the way they treat you and on the way they treat others, right? This isn't just about how someone treats you and how they do things with you. It's about how they treat their friends and family and coworkers also. Because if someone does something to someone else, you think down the road subconsciously, they could do the same thing to me. And most likely, in a lot of cases, they can. They will. And how many times, put it in the comments below or put it in the live stream things. Have you had a situation where you're getting to know a friend or someone you're dating and they start telling you a story about something they did to someone else, and they don't even realize that it's a pretty negative look on things, or it's a pretty negative story on their character, and you think to yourself, damn, that was a bad look, but they did it to someone else. Okay, these are red flags in trust. When you come across them telling you about something that you go, wow, that conveys a lack of character, or that conveys a lack of solid values, there's a good chance they'll do the same thing to you. Think about that for a moment. So I knew someone, this is a story for a couple years ago. And this guy was seeing a woman, and they were casual, right? And the woman was in a long distance relationship. And so he was seeing her, but he was like, oh, it's just casual. It's not serious or anything like that. I'm like, yeah, she's got a boyfriend, whatnot. So the boyfriend comes into town. She sees the boyfriend. She's openly going out with the boyfriend. She even takes the guy, this individual that I know, to lunch with her and her boyfriend. Now, to me, that's low. You're breaking bread. You're cheating on someone, even if it's long distance. You're cheating on someone, and then you're bringing them to the table together. And the guy that you're cheating on is an inside joke. Think about that for a moment. She brought them together, but the individual that I know thinks about it. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. No, you did actually, because you're actually sitting that. First of all, you know that she's in another relationship. Okay, fine. right? I've said before, I'm not the moral police. People make their own decisions based on their own values. Okay. So I don't know where she was at in the relationship at that point. The guy comes in town to visit, right? The guy comes into town to visit. She says, "Hey, this is my friend so and so." They sit down, they talk together. The other guy goes, "Oh, nice to meet you. This is great." And they hang out. They actually hang out for the week. And this individual I know is kind of snickering about it. He's snickering with the idea that, yeah, the guy doesn't even know that I've been hooking up with his girlfriend. That's a red flag character wise, that someone thinks that's funny, right? Now, here's the crazy part. He's laughing, thinking, wow, this guy's really getting screwed over. This guy like has no clue that I've been hooking up. And he was like, well, we've done some things, but we actually haven't like slept together, but we've hooked up, we've done other things. We haven't gone, that far. But here's the thing. This is what I'm getting at. So she's not openly, excuse me. She's cheating. She's lying. And she had the gall to actually meet up with both of them. And to me, in the beginning, she's making such an ass out of the guy that's her actual boyfriend, her long distance partner, that she'd actually bring a guy to lunch, hang out, that she's hooking up with. What the fuck, right? So eventually, the guy goes back to his home, which is far away. They continue long distance. The individual that I know continues seeing this woman and snickering about it, that she's got this other boyfriend, laughing about it behind the guy's back. And all the while I'm thinking, this is fucking low, because this is a colleague of mine. I know him from work. And I said, pfft. So then eventually what happens is he gets more and more serious because they live in the same town and the boyfriend that she has is long distance. Eventually they get together. So the two that are cheating get together, right? They get together. She announces to the other boyfriend, I've left you for so-and-so. I've left you for John Johnson, I'll just say. I've left you for him. And the guy's going, what? The guy was a bit naive not to realize when they went out to lunch together that they were seeing each other. But my fact being, now they're officially together. So what happens next? This guy's official with her, right? What happens next is about 2 months down the road, he's with her. It's my girlfriend. From the get-go, he didn't trust this woman. They had a good connection. They had attraction. They had good intimacy, but he didn't trust her. Whenever I talked to him, he'd be complaining about it. He didn't trust her from the very get. If you start a long-term relationship or serious relationship without trust, what are you doing? It's setting up things for disaster, right? It's setting it up for disaster. So about 2-3 months go down the road, he finds there's multiple guys that are calling and visiting that he's going, I think she's hooking up with someone else. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how did she meet you, genius? In the back of my head, I'm going, you think you're special? You think you're different? This is an individual that I'm talking about that's in his 40s, and the woman was in her late 30s to early 40s. These are mature adults that have, a grasp on their values and who they are. And he's walking around like shocked that he's suspicious of her seeing someone else when he started the relationship off as the second guy, snickering and laughing while another guy is getting played. You see where I'm going with this? Individuals tell you who they are in the beginning with their actions, and how much you can trust them is based on, right, what they're telling you about themselves. You got to listen, because if you think, oh, they would never do that to me, it's possible, but it's less likely. Really think about that for a moment. Think about that, right? That if someone's able to do something to someone else, they have more of a propensity, a higher percentage to do it to you. And so that's a big issue. And so down the road, 2 months down the road, this guy is actually going nuts. He's accusing other guys of hooking up with his girlfriend. He's accusing her of cheating. He actually finds a way to get some material. I believe it was from some kind of online thing. He finds out that he literally gets hard evidence that she's been talking to the ex, the guy that originally she broke up with to get with him, who she was cheating on with him, if you can follow all that shit. And he's shocked. He's like, yeah, she's been talking to this guy. Dude, how did you guys start the relationship? There was no trust there. She was lying to an individual. She actually had no problems introducing you to the guy that was her long distance committed boyfriend while she was hooking up with you. What does that say about her character? Then you get in a long term relationship. You introduce her as your girlfriend and you think she's going to be different because you're special? Think about that for a minute. That's just a part of the trust game, right? And the way that trust works. And there's certain people you meet that you feel more trust from the get-go, right? And you get that even with YouTube, you get that from the internet. And I think what a lot of people are sick of is you got these things on YouTube and the internet now that like it starts off with just this huge sales pitch. Hey, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I'd like to say today that, today's a special. And it's just like, what the fuck? We've seen it so many times. We've been sold on so many things. We're sick of it. That when we actually see genuine people trying to help other people, we actually go like, oh, okay, this is actually, an albino in the wild. This is actually someone that isn't one of those people trying to sell me 10 million things. Okay. And you start to develop some trust. Rob, what's going on? We're talking about trust today. I just missed a pretty good story, actually. I manifested you, Rob. Good for you. So part of the question that was asked, I want to cut and paste this. One moment. How can you have trust in some areas but not in others? Next question. How can you have trust in some areas but not in others, and all the various ways people unknowingly undermine this process? First of all, sometimes people think they were duped or someone played them or something like that, but they actually just weren't vigilant. They weren't listening. And the actuality is you need to take responsibility and accountability when someone wrongs you, that you weren't seeing the signs. You weren't seeing the dishonesty in them, right? And that's a big one about trust. How are they treating coworkers? How are they treating other friends? How are they treating family members? Because eventually that's how they're going to treat you. And I noticed this in my own life, and I haven't realized it until the last few years, fully and completely. I wish I would have learned this in my 20s, because it happens again and again. And you notice you're just it's almost like you're watching a TV movie or something where your friend's telling you about something else and you think, wow, you're kind of an asshole for that one. Or, and then afterwards you're thinking like, then when you have a falling out with your friends or something goes wrong, you're like, wow, they did the same exact thing to me. What the fuck is that all about? People can change. People can change their morals. They can change their values. They don't do it in 24 hours. They have to do it. A crisis happens. They find religion. A breakup happens, but it still takes time to change their values. And, someone goes to jail, they robbed the bank, they hurt someone, they did something, they pay the price. It takes time. They can come out of jail and change that, but it doesn't happen overnight. So when you start dating someone or you start getting in a relationship, really listen, ask good questions, listen to how they tell the stories of their life, because that's what you do when you connect, right? Someone that's constantly just telling you about the future, this or that, they're telling you stories about their life, right? I would think everything's based on a storyline. And so when they're telling you these stories, what's their role in the story? Are they the hero? Are they the victim? Did they get fucked over? Really listen, because that's how they're going to play out in the relationship with you. And if they're okay with other people being untrustworthy, then they're going to be okay with lying to you, right? Hindsight is 2020. I mean, it's Steve Jobs, who I'm not a huge fan of as a person, uh, but there's so many quotes and all this massive respect for him on, and, so everything's like Steve Jobs said, Steve Jobs could say that, chicken is healthy, and everyone go, Steve Jobs, it's a quote from Steve Jobs, chicken is healthy. It's like, okay, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? It's like, um, if it was said by Steve Jobs, and it's like you watch Steve Jobs movies, and I wasn't impressed with his parenting skills, which is a big reflection of who you are as an individual. Tell me I'm wrong. But he says hindsight is 2020, but we look back and we connect the dots and we go, oh yeah, this led to this led to that, this led to this. But you can't connect the dots in the future, right? And I agree with that. And that's a little bit deeper than hindsight is 2020. Actually, what happened in your past served a purpose if you're learning from it, right? And if repeated bad shit keeps happening to you, you're just not growing and you're not learning from it. All right, folks. So I got a little tangent on that one. I think I have one more piece to this trust part. Let me see how I can't put all that in. Sorry, folks. So many people have this false notion that trust is a given at the outset of a relationship, as if you've opened up a bank account that already has a huge savings. Well, I wouldn't agree with this personally. I believe that for me, trust is gain. I'm open to trusting people. I give people the benefit of the doubt. If you go out with someone and you have a pretty good judge of character, you read people pretty well, you're already giving them the benefit of the doubt, unless you're just going out on blind dates with people you don't know. And this is what comes out on dating apps, right? I don't have a problem with dating apps. I don't think it's an issue. But it's a different style of things compared to if you worked with someone, if you've known someone for a little while, then you have a little bit of background and you don't run into situations where you're like, that was a horrible date, we just weren't a match. But you never just trust people 100% off the bat. It's a process. It's layered. It's, they did something for you. They start telling you who they are and what they're about. But here's an interesting part of trust. Okay. Trust intersects with values and morals and identity. Now, if someone's values money, let's just use that as an example, since this individual mentioned a bank account. If someone if someone values money a lot, and there's an opportunity for them to do or make a lot of money, and this is something that, a lot of times if someone really values money in a high way, it's one of two things. When they were young, they were highly poor, or when they were young, they were highly rich. So they identify with being rich. Usually middle-class people, if they just always had some money in their pocket and this and that. That being said, they'll do anything because the value of money is so high to them that they'll put that above their morals, right? And so they'll do untrustworthy or dishonest things to make that money. There's a lot of people out there like that. Think about that, right? And so what I'm saying is trust can take a back seat to something that's more important to an individual. Now, someone with so trust has different boxes that it fits into, right? So I'll flip that. You might be able to trust someone in a relationship, but that same person you can't trust with money. Does that make sense? And so breaking it down to a situation where you're just talking about, oh, I can trust this person or I can't trust him. Trust him with what? If I left my dog, I don't even have a dog right now, but I've had dogs before. That's a big deal, right? You have a dog, you're close to your dog. You tell your neighbor, you're like, look, can you take care of my dog for the week I'm going away? There's certain people that you'd go, oh, I can trust Sally down the street because she takes care of her dog really well and cares. And she'll make sure my dog's fed and goes on walks and whatnot. You can trust them with that. Now, Sally, if you told her, hey, can you hold this $1,000 for me for the next week? You might not be able to trust her with that $1,000 because she's always low on money. You see what I'm saying? So trust isn't just like, oh, this is a trustworthy person. No, it's based on the individual's values and morals and what's most important to them. So someone can be very trustworthy, have really good morals, but be okay with cheating. And then you're like, wow, you can't trust this person. So what you're searching for in the trust part of the relationship, the issues with trust, is going to vary individual to individual. And that's why when you're starting a date and you're starting to get to know someone, really fucking listen. It was interesting. I just did a live coaching earlier today that went really well. It actually went a little bit over, which is fine because I over deliver when I do live coaching sessions. You're in a situation where you're learning that individual, and little bits and pieces are going to tell you what you can trust them with and what you can't trust them with. And think about it like this. If you have brothers or sisters, cousins you lived with, aunts, uncles, parents, you know what you can trust them with and what you can't trust them with. For example, you're like, just don't tell that person anything, right? There's a good friend of mine. I've been friends with him for 10 years. We know a lot of similar people. If you tell that individual anything, he'll tell everyone. It's not even a secret. It's just like, I didn't think that was a secret, but I didn't want you telling everyone that, right? How many individuals do you know like that? And then the same individual, you could trust them with your life. The same individual, you could trust them with your dog, or you could trust them with money, but with a secret, nah. So trust varies based on the compartment it's in. Let me get into some of these. 11 on deck with no likes. All right. Mirzaj Humayan. Sir, this world is very few girls is honest. They just looking for their needs. They change the boyfriend like shoes. No loyalty, no honesty. I don't agree. I think that you're projecting your certain situation. There are plenty of women out there that are honest. And obviously at some point for you, that happened to you. But having that outlook is going to create a situation where you meet more dishonest individuals. What you believe, you'll find. And so I'm not saying there isn't any dishonest women, or there isn't any honest women, but the idea that there's very few women that are honest in the world is extremely limited outlook. And what happens is you're generalizing something that probably happened to you. And there's some other individual out there that would say, well, my girlfriend or my wife's actually, honest. And it's situational, really. Should have listened to Rob and watched Coach sooner. Well, thanks, Crystal. I appreciate that. I'm following the course. Of course. Manifest you. Okay. The after party. I felt that, man. I will watch it again. Leo to Leo. Sorry to message you, Rob. I sometimes get to know because you hear. Other times it never shows up. Sorry, folks. Hate ignoring the warning signs. Hindsight is 20 when you ignore the signs. Yeah, but when things that you consider signs, you don't realize they were signs till later on sometimes. Is that true? I mean, I know in my own life, I remember, I don't know if it would be a sign, but like looking back, I remember I was in a relationship, long-term girlfriend years back. And I remember I got a new job, a good job. And my girlfriend got a job 3 or 4 months later in a similar field that had the ability to make really good money. And a friend of mine was talking to me on the phone. And I remember this clear as day. This is like 12 years ago or something like that. And I was like, yeah, so-and-so, she got the job at this, da-da-da. He's like, fuck, man, that's great, dude. That's going to be great for your guys' future. You guys are going to both be this, and you're going to be doing well. And I remember just feeling like, I don't know what it was. I should have been happy. I should have agreed. And I felt like deep down, I'm like, no, it's actually not good. I don't know where that feeling in my gut came from. But when he was saying that, I was like, no, we're not going to be together forever. And no, it's not a good sign that she got this job. And the job ended up being a problem, and it ended up leading to our breakup. And that feeling in that moment, I remember thinking back, wow, I had that feeling. And it was sharp. It was weird because I should have been in a really positive mood and should have been agreeing with him in a lot of ways. And something in my mind was like, no, this isn't good. And I didn't realize that till, at the moment it felt it, but it wasn't significant. But at that moment, what am I going to do? Break up or confront them? Hey, I had this moment. It doesn't become relative till later on. Most never take the time to reinforce empowering principles. Good way to put that, Rob. Some people ignore the signs hoping for the other to change. I think that early on, you don't even know it's a sign. It's just a feeling and you just disregard it. And you don't want to tell people you had a feeling because then you'd be like you're telling the future, right, Crystal? And people are uncomfortable with that. I think as you get older, if you cultivate it, then it becomes an asset to you. Yeah, when people tell you who they are, believe them in actions as well, especially how they treat other people. I think Steve Jobs separated his parenting and his skills from the massive importance he placed on this purpose at work. Yeah, that's true, Rob. Good point. I just think that people I know, and this isn't, I grew up in the Bay Area and stuff, and people that said that they've interacted with them and stuff like that, no one seems to speak about him glowingly, but that doesn't take away from his achievements. Notice how they treat other people. More than likely, they'll do the same to you, good or bad. I agree. It's a small thing. And I think that when you first start dating in your early 20s or your 18, 19, whatever age, you don't really look for that. You're just into attraction and connection. You don't look for, how's this person treating other people? How do they treat their family members? Do they go out of their way for other people? I was a waitress for 7 years. Watch how they interact with wait service. I do that. I wasn't a waiter. I wasn't a waitress. I wasn't a waiter. But I've had service-based jobs. I worked in a department store. I worked in a drugstore since I was 15 or 16. I had a job while I was in school, and usually they were in stores. So it's customer service based. So how people treat people like that, yeah, that's big to me. It says a lot about your character if you're rude to someone. Meeting men in the workplace, best never-ending date you'll go on. Never-ending date. What does that mean, to be a never-ending date? It ends one day, one day. Yes, makes perfect sense, says Sherry Holt. Please like and subscribe. I don't know why they would cut that out. Sometimes the signs become clear months, sometimes years later. Good day, y'all. Dylan's a little early today. Rob, what's up, bro? Raval Hudka. Hudka? That's an interesting name. What nationality is that? Hudka? Dylan Bryan. Raval. Nice, Rob. I'm out walking, planning a day. I was an Indian. Okay, cool, man. The Chris situation needs to be unpacked here. What's the Chris situation? You guys got some questions? Let's open it up a bit, huh? Dylan, I'm excellent. Thanks for asking, bud. I'll just post the end of this comment about finding a better analogy for the complexity of trust and how this functions and malfunctions would be really cool to hear from you. So I'm just still unpacking this trust comment that was left for me. What do you guys think? Finding a better analogy for complexity of trust and how this functions and malfunctions would be really cool to hear from you. Trust is actually a choice. And what I would say is that you don't want to project people from your past that have proven you wrong, have upset you, made a fool out of you, and assume that the next person is untrustworthy because someone else burned you. I had a friend like this that I remember asking him. It's a good friend of mine. I was like, you just never trust people. He was very closed-minded. If he met new people, really standoffish with new friends. And he's a good guy, good fucking great friend of mine. Probably one of my best friends. But I always noticed this, like off the bat, he liked to read people, but he was very standoffish and didn't give in. And and I said, "Where does this come from?" And he's like, he thought about it for a minute, and I go through my sort of questions, and this is a few years back, and he goes, "Actually, dude," he goes, "when I was like 11 years old," he goes, "I had one of my best friends actually steal from my house, and he stole shit from my dad. Like his dad had a safe or something valuable." And he was really my friend's really close to his dad. So not only did it upset him that the guy stole, but he also felt like a little bit of shame and disrespect to his dad. And so, um, in doing so, he said a year later, he had another friend that did the same thing in a different way, stole something from his house. I think it was money or something like that. And I think again, it was from the dad. And so he just regarded in the future that he was very guarded and judgmental of people. He didn't let them in very easily. And he knows uh, that's what, and afterwards I'm like, well, you need to forgive those individuals when you were 11 and 12 years old. And he was like, damn, dude. He said he went and watched a TED talk on forgiveness and he got teary eyed, that he realized that he was holding a lot of people without a benefit of the doubt. And I say, if you enter into friendships or relationships in the beginning with a little bit of a benefit of a doubt that someone's telling the truth, and then over time let them prove you wrong. But if you go into relationships just assuming that all women cheat or all women are unhonest or all guys are this or all guys are that, then you're going to get that. And if you don't get it, you're going to repel the people that prove you wrong. So beware of the stories you're telling yourself, because trust starts with you trusting other individuals until they prove you wrong. Mac, I'll email you. Vanessa's variety show. Go ahead. Swati Cup, Mr. Daikon from New York City. The Chris situation. You guys have you got your own stuff going on. Trust is a vibration. Yeah. How about this one, Rob, and everyone else out there? This is kind of funny. When I was in high school a long time ago, over 20 years ago. Sounds crazy, huh? I don't feel that old. Um, there was a couple friends, and they weren't good friends. It was like, you have a circle of friends, and they were just constantly giving you whoppers. They used to say woofing. Um, and it would just be it would be harmless stuff. Like, in other words, it was so off the wall that you knew the person was full of shit, but they just lied. They just lied about being great at something, or I found $10,000 in a garbage can or whatever. Like, it would just be off the wall shit, and you just knew that these people were whopper talkers. They were like that. And I remember there was the same individual out of high school got a job as a parking cop. You know what a parking police is? I don't know. Like, parking police, they get these, like, they're like in golf carts and they give out parking tickets. I don't know if you consider them real cops or not, depending on the real city, but they don't go around, protecting and serving. It's more like they're just looking for parking tickets. I don't know what the salary is. So this individual that used to BS a lot, he had one of those, and someone said that ran into him. He's like, "Yeah, I'm working on the SWAT team." And they're like, "Dude, I saw you with the parking police." "Oh, no. That's just for a little while right now. I've been training with the SWAT team." This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. These are harmless lies, but you're around people like that and you're like, "What?" These are individuals that are actually nice people. They're not bad people. But I guess it's out of insecurity, or they just find it completely harmless. But how many of you have known someone that you're just like, yeah, they're I guess it would be exaggeration, but times 10, because everyone exaggerates a little bit sometimes to tell a good story, I suppose. But I feel like I tell a story based on what I remember. But there's other people where you're just like, really? That's what happened? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you're like, can you trust them? Trust is a vibration. I agree. Victor has the answers. I don't know who Victor is. Okay. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Hello, everyone. What's up, Sabina? Oh my God, that was the very beginning. Yes, I'm early. I couldn't go without missing a live stream. Hi, Sabina. Sabina, how are you? The vibration that you send subconsciously. Mm. And that gets stronger with time, you'd say? Hello, God. What do you mean you're 50-50 on TED Talks? What's that about? You like some and you don't like some? Super true. Some are great, others have no conclusion. Well, I mean, it's public speaking and there's tons of them. So there's going to be good ones, bad ones. There's going to be boring ones. They're not all good. Anything like that, if you think all of them are good, you're not being subjective. You're not being objective, and you're not really taking things from them. Dylan, very good. Thank you for asking, dude. Me too, Mac. 20 years ago. What, high school was 20 years ago? Sometimes Crystal, you're in San Diego. What part of San Diego out of are you from? Sometimes people tell themselves the stories they want to hear for some sort of false validation, and it becomes their truth. In many cases, a false truth. Yeah, Rob. Individuals that I've known, I'm like, they tell such big lies, but they believe them themselves. I've met people like that where they're so deep into it that they actually really believe it happened. They don't even question how much bullshit is. High school was in the Bay Area. I always went. I didn't go to San Diego till I was 20 or 21. I think 20. I moved there when I was 20. And I was there almost 4 years. 3.5? 3.5, I think. Whopper talkers. We used to call them woof tickets. This guy's woofing. I'm good, Sabina. Just out of enjoying the sunshine and planning day out with friends soon. Good for you, bud. Never heard of Whopper talkers. I just made that up today. This lies, yes. Insecurity, definitely. I can't stand extra exaggerated. Yeah, like I said, it's like a little bit, but there's a friend of mine. I'm laughing because the guy's a character. He's funny. He's English, gregarious guy, really outgoing, fun. And he was telling me that someone was like, "Yeah, you always got it. You got to always fucking one up everyone, don't you?" And he kind of does, and he doesn't know he's doing it. He always has to one ups, and he was like, "I don't know where that came from." And it's kind of like he didn't notice that he does do that, but he does it with a little bit of charm and a little bit of finesse. It's not selfish or narcissistic, and he tells really good stories. But sometimes some of the stories, I'm like, "Come on, really?" But they're funny. But ridiculously exaggerating, yeah. Like what I just mentioned earlier, it's kind of like it gets to a point where like, really, dude, come on. Vanessa, I love you till the end of time. Well, that's very kind of you. Thanks for divulging that. I think Chris loves her even more. That's a fabulous. Many men do that lies when they found themselves on lower educational or life status level than women they like. That's pretty deep, Sabina. Too many people faking they're rich when they're deep in debt. Yeah, that's a big thing in American culture, Felipe. I've actually, yeah, being in debt but having like really nice things and looking like it's expensive. I remember my father telling me that when I was a kid. Oh, that's all credit. That's all this. And like years later, the family would be on bankruptcy. Yeah, that's very common. Anything reinforced enough will become your truth. Rob's getting a little deep today. And Rob's got his little team too. He brought a little team over. Good for you, Rob. Mac wrote you a message on Facebook about podcasts. Okay. I'll check that because I don't always check my Facebook messages. I'll check that. What's today's topic, Mac? My phone won't let me see comments from the developing trust. How do we measure trust? Cultivate trust in a relationship. How do you identify who to trust in a relationship? It's funny, Rob. I keep laughing so freaking loud, out loud, like a crazy person. I love this chat. I am deep. I'm in the deep end tonight. I'm diving way down there. Yeah, so what I started with, one topic that doesn't seem to be getting much coverage on the issue of trust and the nuts and bolts of how trust is established. That was the question. This was actually a request from someone. Oh, Santee. Okay. Inland. Mm. Hmm. It's hot over there, huh? I live in Santee. I think I remember someone going out there for someone's house before. What else is there on the way to Santee? I'm trying to think. Santee. El Cajon? El Cajon's on the way there, right? A lot of San Diego people. It's a good place to live. Nice place to live. Really nice place to live. I liked it. PB and Mission Beach were fun. That was a good place to live. I had a lot of fun there. They turned that upside down. Santee's a place. I might be saying it wrong, but I think it's Santee, not Sante. Inland San Diego. What's up, Skinner? NBA's on deck. Inland, that it's really hot. I love being at Fiesta Island. That it is. El Cajon, yeah. La Mesa, Lakeside, yeah. I went to Mesa College for 2 years. It's a good junior college. Mission Valley, really? I used to work at Fashion Valley Mall, which is in Mission Valley. Why is Mission Valley awful now? Because there's a lot of buildings and stuff. When I lived in Mission Beach, it still had character and charm. And I went back 3 or 4 years ago and they flipped all the houses into $1 million homes and stuff. Really? You're on the Zion bandwagon? He's got some gusto to him, that's for damn sure. Fashion Valley Mall at the Foot Locker? No, I didn't work at Foot Locker. I worked for an expensive department store. Yep, I'm in Thailand. I'm in Phuket. I always am hesitant to mention the name of the store because I'm like, could you say that on YouTube? I don't know. No, the beach, it's ghetto. Really? PB and Mission Beach is ghetto? Really? I felt like they put in some like $1 million homes. That's news to me. This is when the chat just goes all over the place. I was worried he'd disappear and all the young talent, but he's been better than I expected. Yeah, he has. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't a big fan of him, but he looks like it looks like Lonzo Ball is going to be really good on that team. Yeah, no need to mention the store. It's just a high end. It's not Bloomingdale's, but it's the same as Bloomingdale's. I worked at that, wore a suit. I see that on 90 Day Fiance. PB is great. PB's great. La Jolla and PB was fun to live in, man. Everyone's so laid back. Everyone's from different places. I liked it. But when a lot of it's turned into Airbnb because I went there for a bachelor party. It's like 3 years ago. And it was like some ridiculous cost to my friends. I was like, this is ridiculous. Homes are fine, but the beach itself, where the roller coaster is. I used to live by the roller coaster. I lived Santa Barbara. Yep. Crystal, that's where I worked. Yes, I did. It was a good job, though. I liked working there. It was good. Good money. A lot of freedom of schedule. It's good when you're in your 90 Day Fiance. That's correct, Vanessa. It's expensive, yeah. Haven't been there in years. But what's good about when you work at a store like that, you can transfer. So when I was in college, what was nice is like I was in the Bay Area, I transferred to San Diego, and then I transferred back to San Francisco. And it was good. It was good. It was good. It was a good part-time job, shit. Because you could work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and go to school. I always joke around. I worked more when I was in school than I work now, probably. I was fucking busy. I must be psychic. You knew it, huh? Well, good. Good. Is that a compliment, Vanessa, that I work there? Or is that a bad thing? I liked work. Like I said, I think it really developed Well, I was already friendly and outgoing, but you have to talk to a lot of people, right? It's all day talking to people. Sometimes you come home and you're a little burnt out. People be like, "Oh, you're gonna come to this thing? You're gonna go to this thing?" I was like, "I don't want to talk to any people right now." What? Really? It's like it just done 8 hours of that shit. I was fairly good at it too. Any questions? Crystal, the unfiltered tarot cut. So, Crystal, let me ask you this. I think it's a good thing too. I was just curious about your guys' take. Um, sign of my Aquarius, February 1st. If you were a waitress for 7 years, yeah, you didn't know that without me telling you, huh? Um, or did you know already? If you were a waitress for 7 years before you were a tarot card reader or psychic medium, did you know when you were a waitress that you were having these abilities or talent? And do you believe that everyone has a little bit of this ability? Would be a good question. There is a chance you maybe met her randomly in the past. Possibly. Also, the men in the shoe department are the best looking, very charismatic. Shit, what does brat mean? People's intuition. When you live in Southern California, I remember when I lived in Southern California, it's like everyone from high school, um, that's like good looking or whatnot. It's like it's almost overwhelming at first the amount of good looking women there are there. It's like what's that store, Abercrombie or one of those places? It's like everyone's from Abercrombie or something. And I remember like it's intimidating at first. Southern California's got some good looking people. Describe Mac. You just described Mac. There are schools for reading people. Oh, I bet. I'm sure there's online programs for reading people. If you are trained to read people, then yes. Since I was a kid. Hmm. I do believe though that you just have intuition. Sometimes stuff comes up and it is overwhelming. Like I described this new man I met as a Abercrombie model earlier. Yep, gorgeous people. Oh, that's random. That I said that. That's a coincidence or synchronicity, I guess. Wait, who here does tarot? Crystal Unfiltered Tarot has a I want a reading, LOL. Good. Never could get into A and F. I don't know what A and Abercrombie and Fitch. I'm more into things like All Saints. All Saints is closed. I'm not sure. Yeah, Skinner. Crystal Unfiltered Tarot is her name. I believe she has a YouTube channel. Or I know. Simple logical thinking, connecting the dots. Yeah, Sabina, you're right. I mean, but there are those moments where you just know something and you don't know how you know it. But yeah, you're right. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I will say this, doing this work and talking to different people, there are moments where people are like, how'd you know that? It's not like, I don't know. You can become, I think um, when you're in rapport, you're exchanging signals with other people. And I do believe that there's something to the idea that the thoughts that you have aren't necessarily in your head. You're taking them out of, this might be deep to some people, but think about the internet and the signals through the internet. It's through the air, right? It's like, have you been with your girlfriend or boyfriend, for the girls out there, or husband or wife, and um, you're like, hey, let's go get Italian food tonight. And they're like, that's exactly what I was thinking. How'd you know that? Now, that's not significant because it's not a significant thing, but it happens all the time, right? What time is it where you are? It is 11:34 a.m. 20 on deck all of a sudden at 45 minutes. Brand new Skinner. There you go. You got a free question. I have a high intuitive nature, Mac. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's true, actually. Human behavior is a pattern behavior mostly. 20 watching. Yeah, it's been good, Robbie. Um, I actually had someone that was like psychic spiritual advisor tell me that they believe that I had some of that in me, but I wasn't using it. Get the likes up. Thanks, Crystal. You're a kind individual. I don't, you know what's interesting about all this when you do the likes and you do the subscribes and you do all this shit, and then you're like, you think to yourself, like, how much does this really work towards the, uh, what do they call that? The algorithm to get you more views. You don't even know how it works. Oh, if I get more likes, it'll do that. Because in the back of my head, I wouldn't care that much, right? If I'm having, but the idea that I never call him Robbie. I just did that the first time. Um, that's exactly true. Hmm. Hmm. Thank you. What would be Crystal? This is an interesting question for everyone. Let's since we got 19 on deck, let's have a little fun here since we're getting off the trust issues of breakup as my live streams generally play out. Um, since everyone's intrigued about the tarot card reader and psychic stuff, what was the moment? Please share where you guys have had a psychic moment and you didn't know how you knew, but you knew something and it was kind of shocking, but you've never shared it with someone. You guys want to put that in your Podbean? Thanks for that, huh? Sabina, you're so helpful. I appreciate it. I appreciate your care and help. I really do. Telepathy moment. Yeah, like a telepathy moment. You know, a moment where you, like I said, you don't say it, but you've had it. I don't care either, but I'm natural moderator. um, let me see. Even dislikes help you. So just encourage any form of feedback. Okay, Vanessa. Let's have fun. Right. I don't care either way. Telepathy moment back. Do you ever get paranoid that you'll run into an ex again? At this point, no. Um, Paranoid's a strong word. Absolutely not for paranoid. Worried or anything like that? No. At this point, if I met an ex of my past, I would be able to be neutral and be in the moment. And actually, to be quite honest, if looking back at all the exes I have, which aren't a lot, um, I'd be happy to see them. You know, I would be happy to see them. I'd be comfortable and outgoing and ask them how they've been. I guess the only way it would be awkward, but it wouldn't be paranoid if they were with someone or they're married and the other individual is looking at you like, who's this? But I wouldn't be shy to, then in that moment, I would just shake that individual's hand and say, hi, I'm Mac, and introduce myself. Yeah, guys, let's hear it. Shocking, but never shared. The great question, Dylan. Does anyone here see spirit? I never get paranoid or anything. Yeah, paranoid's a strong word. I have gotten paranoid in my life about stuff, but it's not about that. I've never seen a spirit. I've never seen a spirit, meaning like a ghost. No. Mac, imagine your ex writing you a story about me or about someone else. That would be interesting. I have thought, you guys might find this interesting, that I know that none of my exes probably know I have this channel. And if they found out what they would, maybe contact me and be surprised because, um, you know, it's probably surprising. Whenever I'm a certain, but I wouldn't be paranoid or upset by it. I'd go, yep, got it. I've had it for a while. Whenever I'm in a certain part of town, friends and I have a feeling I might run into her, as one of my friends told me he's seen her in the area once or a few times. I've seen and spoken to a spirit since I was 3. And as far as I remember, I communicate with spirit more than people. Wow, that's deep. LOL. Um, Rob, do you believe in spirits? I want to believe in spirits. I need it to be confirmed, though. I'll put it this way. I haven't had altercations or situations. Oh no, this guy's out of control, dude. You're done. I just don't understand why people send that kind of stuff. Oh man. Did you guys see what was put up there? I'm not even gonna talk about it. There's just something that just totally took me out of the live stream for a moment when people post stupid shit like that. Um, Dylan, she is probably thinking of you in those moments. I hope I run into in his ex one day. Sabina, come to my channel sometime. I mostly do love readings, but he's dust. It's done. Vanessa's variety show. That's done. Nico's gone. Shame on moving on. Yeah, no, it's done. Nico's dust. It's done. Just caught me off guard. Like, why do we even like that stuff's not even funny? It's just like Rob and Vanessa both know me well, and y'all should too. Skinner, you don't want to know. That's why you need me as a moderator. Want to know, Sabina. Michael Anthony. I think you've been on before. It's funny because I have a cousin that his nickname. I believe his middle name's Anthony, and his first name's Michael. Knew I was going to see my ex last week for the first time in a few months. My heart was pounding. What was the situation? Feel free to send your story in, Michael Anthony. I'll give you my full take, or you can unpack it right now if you have some quick questions. You're curious now about spirits? Troll Patrol. It's like in a comment like that, it leaves like a residue of like upset, anger, and it's hard to get back in the mode for a moment. I know that's just a phrase you don't want to know. Do you dream about her, Dylan? Think of her randomly. Skinner, I know that's just a phrase you don't want to know. What did I miss? I'm curious now. Michael Anthony, if you want to ask about your situation, go ahead and shoot. I got about 10 minutes left. We've gone a little all over the place like we usually do, but that's okay. You hear the rooster in the background, probably. Do you dream of her, Dylan? Skinner, I know that's just a phrase you don't want to know. The roosters, yeah. There's roosters around here. I hope I run into my ex one day. Why do you hope you run into your ex? Sabina, come to my channel sometime. I mostly do love readings, but can ask me anything. Oh, they bust Rob Nico again. Yeah, that's done. Okay. 11:44 a.m. They start when the sun comes up. It doesn't bother me though. It doesn't bother me at all. The funny thing is where I live is a very nice. It's a mix of nice places and places from the past, and then you have roosters running around. It's kind of funny. You'd think I'm on a farm, right? I'm not. friend of mine says he hates these curtains. I might go back to the office, my old office. I got to put an AC in there. Such a nicer setting, much better backdrop, but the sound's better in here. Any closing questions? Getting to a point, we're at 1 hour right now. Do you plan on meeting a nice Taiwanese woman over there? Taiwanese is Taiwan, and I'm in Thailand. So you'd call them Thai. Crystal? What's your opinion about thinking on your ex just out of the blue? I hate roosters. I got one on the farm where I live. Sometimes I want to kill it sometimes. Well, that's nice. Thanks for sharing, Dylan. Mac, I'll send my story in there. A lot to it. I definitely need your help. This has been so hard on me. Okay, Michael, we'll send it in. And if you want a public video response, we can do that. Or you can book a live coaching session. See you, Vanessa. Thanks for joining. Mac, I'll send you my story. Okay. Thank you, Mac, for tonight. I'll be back the next chat. I got offline early tonight and was able to be first in. Thank you. Well, thanks for sharing. Very clever. All right, folks. I think that's it for tonight. For you guys, it's night. For me, it's a day. Curtains.